Hi everybody, I'm Jack and this is Raw Tropical Living. Thanks for joining me today. The subject today, I like coming up with topics that I believe are applicable to the high-carb vegan world, the raw vegan world, raw to 4 world, the way we're eating and living in a healthy way, but they can also be applied to life in general. And I think this one today is one of those exactly. Ego and Dogma. Now, before I get started, let me clarify ego. What I'm talking about here is not the term popularized by Freud, meaning the conscious mind or the awareness of one's own identity and existence. You know, where he talked about the ego, the id, and the superego, I believe it was. Here we're talking more about the common definition of how people use ego as an inflated feeling of pride in your superiority to others. Now, letting go of ego is something that I've been working on or been conscious of for a few years. And it's not so much something that I've worked on because I want to be this great person or I think it's going to make me a better person. If this is really kind of odd, but maybe ego makes me let go of ego because I'm kind of doing it for selfish purposes, or I don't know if you call it selfish purposes, but I'm kind of doing it for my own purposes. I feel like when we're caught up in ego, that two things can happen. One, well, it's not totally selfish because two things can happen and it affects us, but it can also affect other people in the way we're relating to other people. How ego affects us is when we're caught up in this ego, it's very hard for us to learn. It's very hard for us to move forward. It's very hard for us to improve because we're not very open to, to any other information. We think we've found a way, and I think a lot of times people spend more time defending their particular way of doing something than they do listening to alternatives or having rational discussions or just being open to information. That is one of the biggest problems in society in general I find these days is people, and this is where the dogma comes in and kind of gets mixed with the ego. People have these belief systems, whether it's food, politics, just life day to day, and they hang up, they hold on to these, even in the face a lot of times where somebody has evidence to the contrary of what someone believes. They hold on to their dogma so much, kind of protecting it because their dogma and how they believe becomes part of their ego. And when you believe something, you're defending it because of that ego, because of, this is my dogma, this is what I believe. No, I'm not going to change my mind. No, you're not right. I'm right. I'm superior. I'm smarter. And my way shall prevail. Yeah, just, I thirst for knowledge. I thirst for knowledge in almost every aspect of life. And the biggest thing that I just find, like I told somebody one day, we were talking about stuff, and we were talking about intelligence. And we were talking about, do you think you're an intelligent person? Do I think I'm an intelligent person? And I said, well, in certain ways I think I do. And I think one of my best examples of intelligence is that I'm very open. I like to read a lot of stuff. I like to read a lot of bizarre stuff. I like to listen to, read, experiment with things that are way out there. Because, a lot of great discoveries have been made that were way out there in life. All things are out there until they have somehow been proven, and people find that they indeed do work. So yeah, I've never liked dogma. With this, I could tell right away with this raw vegan thing. When I first started this lifestyle, I said, yeah, I'm going to have to kind of avoid these little minefields of dogma because I feel like there's so many people out there that are giving good information, whether it be in whether it's the fully raw people, the raw to 4 people, just anybody in this that whole food plant-based lifestyle that have a lot of good things to say, but they're held back just because they have to promote their dogma. It has to always go through their dogma filter. I even sometimes will watch a video or get in follow a discussion by somebody, and it looks like they have the potential to be dealing with an interesting subject. or maybe this is a learning experience, but they have to put the subject through their dogma filter and describe the subject or talk about the subject all within the constraints of their way of thinking. See, me, I like to take in ideas. I like to process things with no prejudice. Now, is that realistic? We're all prejudiced. We have prejudices. Prejudice just means that we go in with a concept. We prejudge before we go in. It's kind of a human concept. That word's kind of gotten a negative connotation, but prejudice isn't always necessarily a bad thing. Prejudice can be a bad thing when we act on our prejudices, but we all have those little prejudices in our mind. It's just, it's just part of nature, part of who we are. When they become bad is when we act on prejudices or judge people based on our prejudices. So yeah, I like to have an open mind. Ever since I've been doing this raw vegan thing, I watch a lot of different people. I watch people that do it a different way than I do. I watch people that aren't raw vegans. I watch people that do the raw 4. I watch people that even do things that I'm not even remotely interested in, just because I figure, hey, they're like, sometimes it's their delivery. They've got something to say, and the way they deliver it makes me interested, and I'll listen. And that gets to the second part of this that I wanted to talk about, is when we come from such a place of dogma and ego, it reduces the chances that people that we're trying to talk to or trying to share something with are actually going to listen to it. I mean, think about it yourself. How open are you to listening to somebody when they're so judgmental and so annoying, like with the know-it-alls basically, that constantly argue, that constantly know that they're right, that constantly beat you over the head with their superiority of knowledge. And it can be true. It can be true. Like, sometimes there's a lot of people with information and it's the correct information, they just don't know how to share that, and that's because that ego gets in the way. That ego of saying, like, I'm superior to you. Whether it's through our physical prowess of I'm physically superior to you, to whether it's knowledge. I know more than you, but it just all goes back to, like, me. Look at me, I've got this, I'm smarter, I'm better, I'm stronger, and I will impose my will on you. Chances are, even like I say, when it comes to things like veganism, when you approach people like that, they're not going to listen to you. So you have to ask yourself, like, what is your reason for sharing this message? Is it really to help the animals, really to help the planet, really to help people with their health? Or is it just to kind of glorify yourself, hear yourself talking, and maybe you have some aspiration to people going, ooh, Joe, he's really smart, he knows more than anybody about this subject. Or, just showing off. So I believe, just to finish this one up real quick, if you will walk your walk. Walk your walk. Be open to learning new things. Be open to new ideas. It doesn't mean that you may not change your mind. You may not change your mind. I'm not saying that process of being open is necessarily going to change your views on everything, but just be open to that information coming in. Don't be afraid of information. If it's silly information, your brain will filter it out. It'll be silly, but don't ever try to censor information or block information coming in. Be open to anything that's coming in. And have an attitude that makes people want to listen to you about whatever it is, whether it's this vegan thing, whether it's other aspects of your life, and you're trying to convince somebody or something, you're trying to discuss something with somebody. Be the kind of people that people want to listen to. Be the kind of person that is not so obnoxious that most people would say, well, I don't want to do anything like this person does. They're an obnoxious person. All they do is preach their same old dogma all the time. People like that just like they almost come from, politics is a good example of this. Like, I have a lot of friends, I mess with them sometimes, and I'll ask them, questions, just knowing what the answer is going to be, because they just answer along the party line. I see a lot of people do that with the raw vegan thing too. They don't really think, they don't really assess this stuff for their health. They've just decided, I'm on team raw vegan, or I'm on team this or that. That's my team, and I will, even in the face of conflicting evidence or contrary evidence on something, nope, I stick to this, I'm raw vegan, yeah, but I'm showing you this, so that here's maybe a little hole over here, or you need to think like this. Nope, I think how I think. Anyhow, I hope that's not too rambling or unclear today. Basically, just the takeaway is just leave the dogma and the ego behind. Just be open to learning and being open to different methods of sharing, and maybe be a little self-critical with yourself, and not in a bad way, but just, in like, is my approach as I talk to people, whether it be online and day-to-day life, do people tend to listen to anything I have to say about this subject, veganism, raw veganism, or any particular subject in life? Anyhow, hope you guys like this video. If you like it, give me a thumbs up. I hope you'll subscribe to the channel. It's hump day, so halfway through the week. Probably actually by the time you watch this, you'll be 3/5 through the week at least, because this won't come out until the end of the Wednesday workday. So anyhow, have a wonderful day. Hope you're having a wonderful week, and I love each and every one of you. Peace.